Hello and welcome back to the CJ Lester Show. I am your host today, and we have some heavy topics to talk about. And the first being what happened in the state of Georgia, where on Wednesday morning, a 14-year-old boy decided to go into a high school in Widener, Georgia, where he went into the school and killed four people, two being teenagers and two being adults. Here's a full report from ABC about what happened.
I'm Diane Macedo. We're coming on the air with breaking news of mass casualties after a mass shooting at Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia. Right now, police say one suspect is in custody. They believe this situation is now over, but multiple people are now being treated at area hospitals there again after a shooting there in the high school. I want to bring in our senior investigative reporter, Aaron Katersky, for the latest here. Aaron, what are you learning about this shooting so far?
This occurred at the high school in Winder, Georgia, about an hour north of Atlanta. We're told there are casualties, although the exact number and their conditions have not been made clear to us, Diane. One of the local hospitals we've been in touch with says they're treating at least one gunshot victim, so it does appear that at least one person was shot at this high school. And you can see from the images there on your screen, there are people gathered outside. The school had been put on lockdown. There were a number of emergency vehicles seen racing to the scene, perhaps ambulances, helicopters as well. So it's still active, although, as you say, the sheriff in Barrow County, Georgia, confirms that one suspect is now in custody.
Yeah, to your point, Aaron, maybe too early for me to call it a mass shooting, but multiple casualties after a shooting at that school. I want to bring in a former FBI agent, Brad Garrett, for more on that. Brad, what does this tell you now about where this investigation goes to have authorities reporting multiple casualties and a suspect now in custody after a shooting at this high school?
Well, they have a lot more information to work with. It sounds very clear to me that the shooter did get inside the school. We didn't know that earlier. And so there's going to be multiple witnesses. If the kid is a student or former student, the students may know who he is. So getting to motive and is there any other thing connected, events connected to this event? In other words, are there explosives someplace? Is he, the shooter, connected to anybody? Was there more than one person involved? That's usually not the case, but you just don't know till you check it out. So you have to cover all your bases here. You make the school safe, and you make sure the community is safe based on what you learn about the shooter.
And Aaron, of course, this is a story that will continue to unfold, but what are you hearing so far about how this happened? What are students at that school saying they heard and saw?
Well, there were some reports of hearing gunfire, and we know that it's serious enough, Diane, even though the numbers have not been made clear to us, that the White House says President Biden has been briefed now on what's gone on at the high school there in Winder, Georgia. So the students are sharing information about what they heard with loved ones. One grandmother we spoke to says she was able to communicate with someone at the school via cell phone to make sure that loved one was okay. So we know right now that at least one person has been shot and is being treated at Grady Hospital, a level 1 trauma center in the area. And the sheriff says there are other casualties, though the exact number and conditions are not known yet.
And we know one student has told ABC News that he heard what sounded like gunfire coming, he believes, from the classroom next door, that his teacher rushed to lock their door or at least close it, and that the students huddled behind. They believe the shooter may have been knocking on that door, asking them to open up. So still a lot of details to come out of what seems like a harrowing story right now. Again, what we know, multiple casualties out of that high school, Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia, and police now say a suspect is in custody. They believe the danger is now over.
And the sad part about it, there also alongside that we had reports of other threats in neighboring county schools going on, and they stopped that before they actually happened, or if they were going to happen, and they arrested some folk there. Here's the full report from that from Fox 5 Atlanta.
In the wake of the school shooting, today has seen a flood of school threats across our communities, and with that, several swift arrests.
Fox 5's Kevin Stewart is at the live desk with details. Kevin.
Eric and Courtney, authorities say this is no joke, never has been, especially now. In the past 48 hours, Gwinnett County alone, the school system says it has investigated about 300 social media threats. In Gwinnett County, one county over from the tragic school shooting in Barrow County, 2 teens face charges in 2 separate cases. Thursday at Meadow Creek High, a student is accused of making threats against the school on social media.
He admitted that he did it because he wanted to avoid going to school.
At Archer High, a student is alleged to have texted her boyfriend that there was an active shooter situation here. That was a lie.
That student was criminally charged with terroristic threats and is also facing discipline consequences within the school.
A 17-year-old from Flowery Branch, Jamin Justice, and a 13-year-old are similarly charged in Hall County in separate cases. Justice is accused of threatening Cherokee Bluff High. The 13-year-old is accused of doing the same at Johnson High and South Hall Middle School. Friday morning in Cartersville, the school system was put on a soft lockdown at all schools after a since unfounded claim that someone was on the way with a gun to Cartersville Middle School. In Monroe County, 26-year-old Chris Cooper is charged with disseminating information relating to terroristic threats after an incident there.
We take every threat seriously.
Athens-Clarke County PD worked overnight to nab a 12-year-old who allegedly posted pictures of guns implying violence at different schools.
It is a very serious threat, implied or not. So the images of guns, they do this to stir the feelings. They want to make people afraid to go to school. And once that post hits the internet, it is spread to thousands upon thousands of accounts. So that fear is not isolated. You could get up to 5 years in prison for this, even as a juvenile.
Yeah, serious charges there. Now, I can also tell you that a 12-year-old has been charged in Jackson County, a 13-year-old has been charged in Newton County, and we've just learned a 14-year-old has been charged in DeKalb County. Police say this is a good time for families to talk to their kids about the risk of making these types of threats. They will be held accountable. From the live desk, Kevin Stewart, Fox 5 News.
Yeah, good to see authorities are taking these threats seriously and taking action. Kevin, thanks.
So now, in the midst of all this, we have to talk about school safety and what is being done to prevent all this. Now, I am not for any more really gun laws because if somebody or a student or a person, an adult who is a criminal is not going to worry about the gun laws. They could care one less cent about the gun laws. So we really shouldn't pass any more gun laws because all that's doing is infringing on the rights of the Second Amendment of law-abiding citizens. And that is one thing you're not supposed to do according to the Second Amendment. So, what is there to do? So there are some things being done, and I got a clip here from, this is from Arkansas. I got a clip from Arkansas I'm going to play, and talking about student safety and stuff we can do to protect our children. Now, the system they had in Winder, and it's only been open or on for a week when they had it, is they have a device around the teacher's neck that they can, like a lanyard, and they can press it and it connects directly to the police department. And it saved a lot of lives. But there's got to be more that has to be done to prevent no deaths at all. But don't know what that would be, but let's listen to this clip from the state of Arkansas, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about this. And then this will be all I'll talk about. It's been 10 minutes on this, but just remember to keep these students and parents in your thoughts and prayers during the week because it's a lot to deal with, especially with the kids. Now, a lot of them are probably going to pull their kids out of the school system and homeschool them for safety reasons, but just remember these kids and these parents and the ones that lost their loved ones during this time. So here's the clip of this, and then this will be the last we'll talk about this.
And as you might imagine, families everywhere are grappling with the horrific aftermath of the Georgia school shooting. Here in Arkansas, it's raising questions and some concerns over schools that have cell phone-free policies. And Wake Up Central's Michaela Johnson joins us now with more on how some school leaders plan to handle emergencies in classrooms where students don't have their phones. Michaela?
Karen, 180 Arkansas school districts have signed up for Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' Phone-Free School Initiative. It's a policy where students will put their phones away in a pouch at the start of the school day and not have access until the bell rings. Since its announcement, some have raised concerns about the policies, especially in cases of emergencies. And since Georgia, the concerns continue. After the shooting that took place at Appalachia High School, Fort Smith Superintendent Terry Morawski explains the district has worked to keep this issue away from their students with improvements like an access control system, monitoring who comes in and out, an AI system to detect weapons. The district is also one of the first to establish a district police department. They have 14 officers, a dispatch department, and leadership. But their pilot program of phone-free learning is getting questions. But the superintendent says the school would communicate directly with parents in emergency situations.
Communication from a lot of sources can be chaotic and confusing, and even sometimes communication systems are not functioning in those times too. So we would, through our district sources, through the school, communicate with families about what needed to happen next.
Morawski says children could contact their families since the pouch stays on them. They would just need someone to unlock the magnetic sack. And according to the Fort Smith superintendent, they are still working through logistics, but their pouches will arrive in October. Michaela Johnson for Wake Up Central.
Oh, it's such a difficult situation to be in. Thank you, Michaela, for that perspective.
So let's talk about the next topic on the show today, which will be within less than a week, we'll have the first presidential debate between Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump, which is set for September 10th. And it's going to be hosted by ABC News Network on Wednesday. And so the debate, which will be moderated by the World News Tonight anchor and managing editor David Murr and ABC News Live Prime anchor Lindsay Davis, will mark the first in-person debate between Harris and Trump. And it will feature a 90 minutes of debate time with 2 commercial breaks. The debate will be held in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center and will have no audience in the room. Microphones will be live only for the candidates whose turn it is to speak and muted, and when the time belongs to the other candidate. Only the moderators will be permitted to ask questions. A coin flip was held virtually on Tuesday to determine the podium placement and the order of the closing statements. Former President Trump won the coin toss and chose to select the order of statements. The former president will offer the last closing statement, and Vice President Harris selected to the right position on the screen. There will be no opening statements and no closing statements, and there will be 2 minutes. It will be 2 minutes per candidate. Each candidate will be allotted 2 minutes to answer each question, with 2 minutes to rebuttal and an additional minute to follow up clarification or response. Candidates will stand behind the podium for the duration of the debate. No props or pre-written notes will be allowed on the stage. Each candidate will be given a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water. Campaign staff may not interact with candidates during commercial breaks. The debate will be produced in conjunction with ABC station WPVI and will air live at 9 p.m. on the network of the ABC News Live's 24/7 streaming network, Disney Plus and Hulu. Now, these debate rules will be in my show notes that I will be releasing soon. I'm releasing this episode on Sunday, so I'll be doing that Saturday night, releasing the notes for the previous days or the following day's show. And you can see that on my website at chattingitupwithcj.com. And that's where you can follow me on any update news that I have for you. And if I do anything else, I may start a newsletter, a monthly newsletter, a wrap up of the things that we talked about on the show. But right now I'm going to do a weekly show notes list of all the topics we talk about. And any recipes I give you will be located on there as well. Now, talking about recipes, let's look at a recipe that I have fallen in love with. I have taken it to church events already, and they absolutely love it. And I took it to people's houses, and they love it. Now, the variation of this name can be whatever, but I'm calling it Georgia's Corn Casserole. And all you need, it's very simple and very easy to make. Now, all this ingredients again is going to be in the show notes. All you need is a whole can of corn, the whole corns drained when you put it in the recipe, a can of sweet corn, cream style, a box of Jiffy corn mix, a cup of cheese shredded, like 8 ounces of sour cream, and a whole stick of butter. Now, that butter is going to be melted. So, how to make it is, what you're going to do is preheat your oven to 350. Spray a 9 by 13 inch baking dish with non-stick cooking spray. In a mixing bowl, combine the can of whole corn, cream corn, the corn mix lots, and then the sour cream, butter, a half a cup, and stir it together well to combine. Pour into the prepared baking dish. Bake in a preheated oven for 45 minutes or until golden brown. Remove from the oven and sprinkle on top the shredded cheese, a cup to 1.5 cups. Return to the oven and continue to bake until the cheese is melted. And after that, take it out of the oven and let it stand for 5 to 10 minutes before serving. And you want to serve this kind of warm too, so. And if that's too much cheese on top, what I like to do is get you just a cup of cheese and put a half a cup in with the mix and then the other half on top. So. Hello and welcome back. I wanted to do a call to action this week. At the end of the shows, I am going to do a call to action like I did last week. So at every show, whatever the topic of discussion is, I am going to charge you, my listening audience, with a call to action. Number one this week, because of the serious topic at hand with a school shooting, I'm going to say pray for the victims' families that were involved in this horrific incident that should never happen. Pray for the children of the school, because there's a lot to take in, folks. We never had to really deal with this when I was in school. I mean, they had the Columbine shootings and stuff, but for the most 4 years of my life in high school, it went by pretty smooth. No shootings, no national shootings, or whatnot. So, but times have changed, and it's time to take action. Remember those who were shot and killed, their families, the 2 kids, definitely their families, and the 2 adults that were shot and killed. Number 2, get involved. Get involved with your local city, your local county, your local state, and then national if you want to. But get involved. It's very important to know what goes on in your city and county. And I want to say this with your school board as well, because those are the people who set your taxes. You don't like your high taxes? Go to the meetings and speak out. They may not think it works or nothing's being done. It works, because we have seen a change here and locally where we live. Are we going to see a change? Because people spoke up. They were tired of the way they were being treated, and they made a change, and they made a vote to get these people out of office. And it can happen in your neighborhood too. If you just take action, get involved, and speak out, you can make a change. And it can happen in your neighborhood too. If you just take action, get involved, listen to what's going on. It may take some extra time on your hand, but it's well worth it for the future ahead of us and for your lives now. I mean, 4 years ain't going to change much once they're in office, but if the job they're doing is good, the people will elect them again. So, again, stay involved. Number one, pray for our nation, our state, and your county and city, and whatever issues are going on in there, and then get involved so you know what's going on. And that's my take on this week. I will be looking forward to seeing you next week. Make sure to visit my website, chattingitup.cj.com, to stay informed. As I'm speaking, I'm updating that website now with the voting information of where you know where to vote. So go there, look at that, and my upcoming shows with my other show, Chatting It Up with CJ. I got some great interviews coming up. So stay tuned, stay involved, stay prayed up, and I'll see you next time here on the CJ Lester Show. Thank you, and God bless.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode and would like to support the podcast, make sure to share it with others and post it to your social media or leave a review wherever you are listening and give us a 5-star rating. It helps with letting people know that we exist. Also, you can keep up with me on Facebook or Instagram at CJ Lester 88. Thanks for listening and have a blessed day.